Hey guys, it's Brian here and welcome to another week of my video blog. So today we're going to talk about the idea of dealing with angry people at your club. Maybe it's an angry member, maybe it's an angry staff person. How do we handle those sensitive conversations? Trust me, I've had my fair share of blunders in 7 years of running athletic clubs, and I've learned a few things, and I'd love to hear your feedback on these things. The first thing I've learned is that sensitive conversations should always be done in person or on the phone. The second thing I've learned is that when things are really emotional, it's a bad sign and you want to table the conversation. And the third thing I've learned is that ultimately I always need to embrace humility in my conversations. So let's talk about those a little bit. The first one, sensitive conversations should always be done in person or on the phone. I don't think if there's a sensitive conversation where you're dealing with somebody who's upset or angry, that should be done via texting or email. In my experience, and trust me, I've had many mistakes where I've emailed or texted a person that was upset at me, and it went even worse. Those things should always be handled in person or on the phone because it's much easier to navigate and not misrepresent the other person and not be misrepresented yourself. I tell my staff all the time, if you have a sensitive conversation, do it in person or do it on the phone. Don't text and don't email. Trust me on that. Secondly, if things are highly emotional, oftentimes it's really worth tabling the conversation and saving it for the next day when things are less emotional. To give you an example, I once had a parent of a child in one of our tennis programs who we didn't allow into a certain class. However, they just showed up for it. We ended up not allowing the child into the class, and the parent was so upset at me. Absolutely livid, said a lot of things that I think that they probably didn't want to say, and I stood my ground as well while I was trying to be polite, but I knew with this level of heightened emotion, we weren't going to get anywhere. So I apologized, we tabled the conversation. The next day I called the parent up, and they actually showed up the following week with a little present for me because they knew that they were out of line. It helped to just step away and end the conversation. The last thing I've learned is that you always want to embrace humility. Whether you're right or whether you're wrong, it never hurts to apologize and to say that you're sorry, at least to say that you're sorry that they're upset and that wasn't your intention. In business, when we're dealing with people all the time, there's always going to be conflict, and humility is the antidote to a lot of that conflict. And ultimately, I'm somebody who cares a lot about my members. We're a community, and I want them to know that I care. And when I can embrace humility and in a conversation tell them how much I care, that tends to diffuse the issue, and we can move forward. There's always going to be issues, but how you handle that and whether you use humility will determine how that relationship moves forward. So those are 3 things that I've learned when it comes to dealing with angry people around the club. I'm certainly not a perfect operator, and as a result, there are angry people here and there. I would love to hear your feedback though. Feel free to comment on this video or shoot me an email at brianw@cpacweb.com. Thanks. Talk to you soon.